Cheesehead TV brings you two guys who like to think they know something about football.
Good afternoon, Packers fans. Aaron Nagler here. Welcome back to Packer Transplants Live. Joining me, as always, is Mr. Quay Behnke, my partner here at Cheesehead TV. I'm coming to you live from CHTV, New York. Corey joins us live from Green Bay, Wisconsin, across the street from Lambeau Field. And we are ready to talk some Packers. What do we have on tap today, Corey?
Today, we celebrate the first win of the season and look ahead to a Malik Willis revenge game. But right now, it's time for the good, the bad, and the ugly. We got the good. We got
Josh Jacobs.
We got the bad. We got
Braden Nerve Dog Narvison.
We got the ugly. We got
fumbling at the goal line. And that's the tough part, man. You put Josh Jacobs in the good because he was really freaking good, but he also gets himself into the ugly with fumbling at the goal line. You hate to see it, Behnke, but you love to see a Packers win. How you doing on this fine afternoon?
Doing good. Happy Hump Day.
Happy Hump Day.
Most
definitely.
Love
to see
doing
it.
Good. We had a fun Patreon happy hour last night, so you know.
We did? Always a good time.
Okay, I'm not going to say what's annoying. I just think there's a lot of Debbie Downers out there in Packer world, and I'm just, all the Debbie Downers. You fan how you want to fan, but you're bringing me down, Debbie Downers. You're bringing me down. You're bringing me down.
Is there a particular topic that is drawing the Debbie Downers toward you? Like, is there
it's
something?
It's never good enough. It's never good enough.
Yes.
It's just never good enough.
I'm down. Yes, you are correct. No doubt.
And you know what? If it's never good enough, then you never get to enjoy when it is good enough. And so what happens is we always try to make the Packers great again. And I just feel like when you're trying to make the Packers great again, you miss out on when the Packers are great.
On the Packers becoming great. That's what happens. You are 100% correct, sir. Couldn't agree more. I actually had that conversation with Andy Herman this morning. We were saying we're so back because everybody wants everybody benched or cut or moved, and they won.
But here's the thing. I know we're going to get into
the victory?
Exactly, but it's not even enjoy the victory. Like, you are watching something that hasn't. It's hard. It's hard to quantify as Packer fans because we're so used to success and winning and certain things have been. I joke. I'm always like, and we're back because I think even on the watch party, like, oh, we've used our timeouts too early, or all the kind of tropes, right, that we kind of get into, the memes, the memification of the Green Bay Packers that we all know and love. That's not too Debbie Downer, but the thing is, like, if you watch the Packers in 1962 win a championship in the Yankee Stadium, I'm sure, I guarantee you there were people that were like, oh, Lombardi should have ran it like 4 more times.
I remember living through this exact phenomenon.
That.
Who would you say of recent vintage, post-Lombardi era, let's say Packers resurgence, right, since the early 90s? And I am part of this, we have hated pretty much every defensive coordinator, right? Like, guy comes in, even at the start, we're kind of like grumbling, whatever. And maybe they improve and get great and they win a Super Bowl, right? Dom Capers, run out of town on a rail, #fire Capers. At the start, pretty damn good. At the end, everyone hated him, right? Who would you say in this time has been the most revered or the best defensive coordinator? Like, since Holmgren's day till now.
Oh, okay. So Fritz Shurmur can't be in the conversation.
No, it is Fritz Shurmur. Yes, Fritz Shurmur.
Oh,
exactly.
Yeah, Fritz Shurmur.
Right?
Oh, okay.
Fritz Shurmur.
Since Homer, Fritz Shurmur, hands down above
the most
anyone else.
Well-regarded. Everyone remembers him glowingly.
Yes, 100%.
I 1,000% remember when they were on their way to winning a Super Bowl, how No Blitz Fritz was the kind of moniker that was bestowed upon him because Packers fans were so frustrated that he only rushed 4. Now, he was rushing 4 pretty
I
great
mean,
dudes and
one
Reggie
of those
White,
rushing was
all
Reggie
these other-
White. So
Gilbert Brown,
if you need to rush, if you need to rush
Santana
more than four with the
Dotson,
line he had,
it's like they were
problems,
pretty good. So I understand not blitzing, but it became like this real frustration with Packers fans until they won a Super Bowl. So I get it, man. We're always kind of hungering, yearning.
We have a
for
limited
something more.
understanding. I feel like we have a limit, and I watched a bunch of that game back, which I don't normally do, but you're watching a team that is operating at a level that, especially on the offense, the defense, 100%. We're seeing a total change from the defense over the last
change.
6 or 7 years.
Yes,
that's crazy.
Right.
But this offense. And I said this last week, and it was kind of what I was hoping for from this offense the entire time. It's why I wasn't too concerned about Malik Willis coming in for Jordan Love, as great as Jordan Love has been down the stretch in the last season. There is something about this young team that everything is firing on all cylinders. And you can see it most notably, you can see it in the wide receiver and tight end blocking. Right. There are people blocking in plays that they've never in the history of the Green Bay Packers blocked before. I mean, it's ridiculous.
Right.
The amount of run blocking happening on every level, on multiple levels by this team is incredible. And that, to me, is a buy-in. It's a major team buy-in.
Yes.
And buy-in is something that you can't really quantify, but it does tend to help your team in a really magical way.
And it shows up in ways like you're talking
exactly.
about. You see all 11 guys on tape contributing each and every down, no question about it. And look, let's get back on track here with the hotness, because I do want to celebrate a very particular play. Let's roll it. Oh yeah, it's time for the hotness. That's right, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, we got some hotness this week. It is Malik Willis's first ever touchdown pass in the NFL. Let's take a look at this, because this man started 3 games in Tennessee his rookie year, never threw a touchdown pass, comes to Lambeau, first start, been in the building 3 weeks, touchdown to Dontavian Wicks. Look at this from the end zone angle. Beautiful throw, perfectly placed out of the
blocked by Dobbs.
Reach of a diving defender there. Wicks in the end zone doing the Lambeau leap. You love to see it. I love this young man's mentality, his makeup. I love that he got his first NFL touchdown pass in Lambeau Field. That is the hotness. Good for him. Let's get to the Packers news, shall we? Because there is a bit of it, and one very important headline leading us off this fine afternoon. Jordan Love returning to practice. That's right. He practiced today, Corey. Now, he's listed on the injury report as limited. Matt LaFleur was asked several times if he contributed or participated in the team's portion of practice. Matt kept repeating he's limited, would not give any kind of indication as to how much work he did behind closed doors. But he was out there. He's wearing a leg sleeve. He's practicing. He's at least going through the initial drill work. So Jordan Love back at practice, and he did mention in the locker room, he did speak that he's hopeful that he can play on Sunday. Now, you're going to be able to knock me over with a feather if he actually does play.
I really do not want Jordan Love to play on Sunday. We are playing a 6-11 Tennessee team coming off of literally one of the shittiest teams in the NFL. And if we can't beat one of the shittiest teams in the NFL with Malik Willis, what are we doing here? So I just let the guy rest, let the guy get good. I mean, also, this is a really good opportunity. I don't know. I'm not trying to second guess Matt here. I'm just we don't need a repeat of what happened in Brazil. Let's do some coagulation and get it together.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Well, here's my thinking, right? We all know that the Green Bay Packers employ one of, if not the most conservative medical staffs in the league. There is no way on God's green earth that if we see Jordan Love out on the field on Sunday, that he is good to go. There is I'm not trepidatious about it. I'm not worried about it, because there's no way they clear him to play if there's even the slightest chance that the wrong step or the wrong movement might re-injure that knee, that it could put him in danger, etc. There is absolutely no world to live in where that occurs with this medical staff. So if he does play, like, oh, let's go, man. Let's throw it around the yard. I'm ready to do it. But again, I think the initial reports are probably correct. I suspect he'll miss at least 3 weeks. But if he's out there, phenomenal. I'm down with it. The other pieces of news: Marshawn Lloyd, the promising, and yes, I use that word on purpose, promising rookie running back Marshawn Lloyd, placed on injured reserve. Hate to see it. There is a possibility he could return. The Packers can bring back 8 players throughout the season. Jonathan Ford is the initial one to be brought back in a couple weeks. But they have 7 more slots, essentially, that they can utilize. So hopefully he misses 4 weeks and he gets back. Because I do think he could help this team. He could help this offense. I think he's got a lot to offer in that regard. Just sucks, man. He's dealt with so much already in his very, very short NFL career. And I think you saw glimpses of his promise against the Colts. Hopefully he heals up, gets right, and he can help them in the second half of the season. And then talking about guys who missed practice, talking about injuries, Jaden Reed, Elton Jenkins, Jordan Morgan, and Carrington Valentine all did not participate in practice today. The Jenkins absence sounds like an illness, so that's not too concerning. Reed dealing with that calf that jumped up on him late in the week last week. Valentine's dealing with an ankle, and he, as it did not participate, that's concerning, as is Morgan with the kind of re-aggravation, I guess, of the shoulder injury that kept him out for so long this summer. You hate to see that, but those guys listed as did not participate at practice today. And then finally, Corey, this final note during Packers news is just for you. The Packers signed wide receiver Cornelius Johnson to the practice squad. I know you need to mark your roster that you keep faithfully as
Too
to
bad
who
we don't.
is
Too bad
coming
we
and
don't
going
have
on the
Grant
practice squad.
Dubose to bring up from the practice squad. That'd have been nice. That'd have been nice to get a little Grant Dubose. I miss Grant Dubose. I think we're going to miss him. by the
Maybe
end of the
Cornelius
season.
Johnson is the new Grant DeBose.
I don't
Entirely
think so.
possible.
I don't think so.
Entirely possible.
Grant DeBose
Both
was
for-
my
both
training
former
camp bingo
seventh-round
card,
picks.
and now he's gone. You know what I'm saying?
Both former 7th-round picks. That's all I'm saying.
Oh,
Maybe Cornelius Johnson is the new Donald Driver. Let's go. Let's think positively.
okay. I'm down with that. I'm down.
Okay, let's talk about the offense, and let's get back to what you were talking about at the top there about the buy-in from this offense. Because, ladies and gentlemen, it is not often that Corey Behnke produces notes several days
You keep
before
saying this,
show.
but I keep doing
Several
it. So this is the
days.
thing. You keep
You
saying
keep doing
this
it.
is
You've done
not-
it twice. This is twice.
in a row.
I'm
This
very
is
excited.
what is a trend?
In
Is
a
a trend
row, I
3
know.
times? I think a trend
3
is
times. See, when it happens 3 times, then I can stop
Okay.
talking about
Then-
it because then it's
okay.
not irregular anymore. But multiple days prior to our broadcast, Corey had notes up. I'm telling you, man, it's a new world. We are living in a new world. But you were very impressed with the buy-in on offense. And I think you're onto something there because, as you talked about on Happy Hour, the way the offense is able to kind of, I don't know, like morph between weeks as far as what they're being asked to do, it's very clear that there's buy-in regardless of what they're being asked to do.
Yeah, it's true. It's true, and it's also like just these young players being able to step in. I mean, and let's be real, Matt LaFleur is in his bag right now, and it's kind of ridiculous.
Seriously.
Like, we've been waiting for it. We've talked about it for very many years, and we saw this at the end of last season, especially like the last 9-10 games.
Oh, yeah.
We saw this. We saw Matt LaFleur completely in his bag, as well as, Jordan just being crazy good. But,
Playing out of his mind, right?
You are witnessing Green Bay Packers offense that is definitely in a resurgence right now, and I'm looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to it's got to. I just don't know how it even gets better from here. I mean, maybe we never see Narveson on the field one time. That would be really nice. I don't know. That's my new goal.
It's interesting coming off a game that they ran a lot for the modern era, right? They ran a lot for any era to the tune of being that game we witnessed on Sunday, the 16th highest rushing yards in a game for the Green Bay Packers. That encompasses 100+ years, ladies and gentlemen.
That's crazy.
The 16th highest. I mean,
Yeah,
back in the
that's the
30s,
only-
obviously they're running for like 300 yards, whatever, on the regular.
But even then, like, you know what's funny is I was looking at the top, the highest we've ever had rushing yards is 366, and then 312, 303. Those are the top three. So it wasn't even 300 back in the day was not done
regular,
that often.
right?
But it's the only other game in the 20th century close. We got the Amon Green breakout game that threw the Vikings out of the playoffs in 2003, as well as them obviously missing. The
dropping the pass.
The Arizona Cardinals in the end zone was the dagger for them. But a lot of yards, and I was pointing out in the Patreon happy hour that the 1973 game. What did I put here? I actually wrote.
Oh, the Brockington game?
Yeah, the Brockington. I love this because it was like we beat the Bears. It was in 1975, not 1973. It was the number 5. So it's like the 20th century game that's like in the top 5, right? That's not like not in the 40s or 30s like you just said.
Right.
21-0, we beat the Bears. With John Brockington and MacArthur Lane, and the Packers were 5-7-2 that year. So yeah, the Bears were worse that year. So what I wanted to ask, though, here's what I wanted to ask off of this. I wrote this down.
Right.
Okay, so when history happens in the NFL, right? So a historical thing, right? Top 16 rushing yards is a historical moment we witnessed, right? Not a crazy historical moment, but pretty big. Not something that happens every day, right? For the
notable,
Packers, although
very notable.
Although I'd love, I mean, if we do a 300 burger rushing yards this season, that would be awesome. So
incredible.
What do you think it portends, right? Is it shitty teams? Is it shitty teams? Right. So like, and if you look like I was looking through the rushing yards, I was trying to kind of get a ratio. Does it mean your team is crap? Because like in 1975, like our team was garbage,
that was a pretty
but
crappy
we were
team.
able to beat another garbage team, which is the Bears, which I love. Like anytime we beat a garbage team, typically the garbage team we beat is the Bears, which is great. And then B, is it a green flag that shows something very, very special? And if B, what are the special things?
Man, there's a lot to unpack there. I mean, I don't think it can be dismissed. I don't think it's like the idea that it's, what did you call it? Crappy or whatever. I don't think that's the case.
Like there's a lot of times, you know how like somebody does like a record-breaking thing and it happens on like the 1975, right? It's two shitty teams beating each other for the benefit of being the shittiest team in the NFL, basically, right? We went 5-7-2 for the season, right? So like typically you look at some of these bigger records and that's what happens, right? It's a blowout or it's a whatever. And I feel like, you know, I feel like it's like a mixture of things for us. I feel like it's, you know, getting Josh Jacobs, huge. I feel like our line actually coming together early in the season as opposed to late the last couple of years.
Well, that's where I was going to go with it.
Buy-in by the wide receivers and the tight ends and the running backs on the whole scheme and workflow and everything that we got going on. I think it's those three things, but I'm also like, you know, how do you know, right? How do you know the difference? So I'm hoping for B, but
hard to know. Right. I feel you. I get the trepidation. I really do, especially since it's such an outlier for how we've operated under Matt LaFleur, right? It's not like they've ever buttoned it up and run the ball and given a one single back over 30 carries. Like that just ain't life in the NFL in 2024, let alone in Green Bay when we've got a superstar quarterback. Now, that said, the offensive line note is the one for me because you remember, you don't have to look much further than the first month of last season when they couldn't run the ball to save their life. Now, they've got a very different type of running back there in Josh Jacobs, obviously. But I think the work up front and the work of the whole unit, because when you talk about the run game, like you're obviously talking about the offensive line, but you are talking about the tight ends, you are talking about the wide receivers, and you're talking about gains that maybe are 4 or 5 yards turning into gains that are 15, 20 yards because of that buy-in, because all 10 other guys outside of the quarterback are operating at peak efficiency. So to have that kind of performance this early in the season, and to have this whole stretch of games in front of us where, okay, maybe Jordan's back sooner rather than later, but when Jordan does come back, I got to suspect this gives Matt a lot to lean on as far as how do we attack opponents and how many different ways can I utilize the running game to support my quarterback in a way that maybe he hadn't been able to do or was not like willing to do previously, simply because he's got the receipts now. He's got the proof on tape to show that not only are they able to physically do it, but the concepts that they had to turn to for this Colts game, all the stuff that Steno and company dreamed up, hey, that actually works. There's no, guessing about it now. Now, obviously, it's 1 week. Teams have film now. We'll see how the Titans try to counter some of this. But I got to suspect Matt will be, looking ahead and trying to get ahead of those expected adjustments to an extent. But if Willis is the starter, and I suspect he will be, they're still going to have that approach. I don't think we're going to suddenly flip a switch and it's going to be, we're letting Malik throw it 30 times. So there's going to be yet another kind of measuring stick and or piece of tape to point to where, okay, if someone does counter it, this is how they're going to try and do it. This is how we can work off of it. To me, it's all positive. I really think it's all positive, especially when you get Jordan back and you can draw from this experience.
Well, and the other thing that's kind of positive is, the NFL and where the NFL is right now. Historically bad tackling, which you could potentially blame on the last CBA. We've talked about it many times over the years. Not enough practices and pads, whatever excuse we're going to give for shitty tackling, it's happening. And so having a this whole, I think we talked about it in the Patreon happy hour where, teams are getting better at defending passes, right? They're getting better at figuring out defenses that cover passes. And so, it's kind of the perfect storm in some ways, hopefully, for the Green Bay Packers. And I wonder, my thing about, and we don't have this on the script, but the only worry that I have about Jordan, and people, I'm going to get a lot of hate on this, and I understand this, and that's fine. That's fine, because anytime I talk about former QB1, it's like, I don't like QB1, former QB1, whatever. But I do think a huge knock on Aaron Rodgers as a quarterback was playing within the system versus playing outside and doing his own thing because he's a genius. And I just wonder, early Aaron Rodgers could play inside the system, and so my hope is Jordan can do that. But I wonder how much has rubbed off on Jordan where, you're trying to, this is the kind of offense where we don't really need to audible out of a lot of things unless we see something, right? You don't see a huge – there's a huge amount of audibling, but it's not like the Aaron Rodgers type of audibling where, it's what
he's drawing Manning up things at the line of scrimmage.
You literally wait until freaking 3 seconds are left, and then by then you're like, okay, I got to hike the ball, and I hope everybody knows what they're doing. And that's my only concern, honestly, is can Jordan Love just play inside the system, which we saw last year, but late as he starts getting hot, he starts to take over, which is great too. But that's like a very low concern, but I just wonder if, QB1 rubbed off on him the wrong way in that regard.
I don't have any concerns about that. I really don't. I think one of the things we saw down the stretch last year, and even down in Brazil, I know Jordan had a kind of hit and miss game, but I think we saw Matt and Jordan working really well together, and I think that's going to continue. I mean, what was so difficult and kind of interesting, actually, about the marriage between LaFleur and Rodgers was a very new kind of way of working, style of offense being married with what Rodgers wanted to do, right?
Yep.
But with Jordan, he's been in the building 3 years. This is the only NFL offense he's ever known. Now Matt has gotten some real good experience with Jordan, so he's able to build what should be a highly complementary game plan week by week for what Jordan is good at, what Jordan knows how to do. I just don't see it. I see can plays that will continue. Like at the line of scrimmage, you see a look, you've got two calls on. All right, we tap the helmet. Let's go to the other one because that's going to be a much better kind of attack of this front or this coverage that we're seeing, etc. But I don't ever see, I'm just drawing up plays at the line of scrimmage and telling guys what to do. You run this route combo by the hand signal that only you and I know. That kind of thing. I don't ever see that.
I don't see that, but
occurring.
I hear you.
And then finally, talking about passing the football, something we didn't see a whole lot of against the Colts. And I liked your note about the buy-in because I think Christian Watson exemplifies it. There's one play in particular where, and a couple of people have pointed this out online, where Malik breaks contain to the right. Christian Watson is running over the middle of the field and is wide open. And you can't really tell if Malik sees him or not. But, Watson's making himself available, showing him, like, kind of throws up the hand and, like, I'm open. When Malik starts running up the right sideline, he crosses the line of scrimmage, Watson instantly looks for work, instantly finds a defensive back and basically pushes him through the end zone, on a play that ends up as a first down on a QB run. That's called buy-in. That's called, okay, I was open,
Well,
and now my quarterback is running, and now I'm going to do my job. As opposed to, we've seen other wide receivers around the league. I'm not going to name any names, but I'm open. Oh, he starts to run. Oh, and they just wilt. Yeah. And the defensive back, who Christian Watson went to block, maybe comes in and makes that tackle. I loved Watson's tape in this game, and he didn't catch a pass.
Well, and that's what's crazy. It's funny that you say that because I originally, when I was writing down where the fuck is Christian Watson, I literally put that in the card before we had the script. And then I was listening to you talking about it yesterday, and I was like, yeah, no shit, he's blocking. He's like one of the best blockers on our team. And it's like
he had an outstanding game blocking on Sunday.
So it's like, that's where I was like, this is why this team is special because, obviously we would have wanted, like what I was kind of getting at is why didn't we feature him like one or two plays, right? Kind of what we do for Dobbs, where we're like, hey, I need something, I'm getting it to Dobbs, right? Because he's reliable as hell, and with Watson and his speed, that's going to happen, and I think it's only a matter of time. I think honestly, like at first I was like, why aren't we doing this? And then I was like, well, after I thought about the blocking, but then I was thinking about it more today, and I was like, actually, Matt's just waiting for the right time. He's like, I have 12 plays, and I don't want to play them too early so that it's on tape. And now, and so there's a lot of stuff Matt is putting on tape that I feel like we're gonna see the opposite contrast. We're gonna work off of. That teams are gonna think it's gonna be one thing and it's gonna be something else. So. I'm excited to see.
They're going to sequence this stuff, man. I suspect Watson gets a few targets. I don't think they're going to go hog wild or anything like that, but I do think he's going to have a few opportunities to either, run some kind of end around or jet sweep, what have you. Definitely think they'll get him involved in the passing game a bit more than he was on Sunday. But man, I'm telling you, what does Matt say? No block, no rock. Well, Watson blocked his ass off on Sunday. I expect him to get the rock this upcoming Sunday. Flipping over to the defensive side of the ball, Corey Behnke, 7 interceptions last year for your Green Bay Packers. The entirety of the season, 5 after 2 games. I mean, I am about this life.
Probably the most damning thing. Honestly, probably the most damning thing. Say what you want about Green Bay Packer defenses, but when we can generate turnovers, that's when we've won the Super Bowl. So turnover differentials probably for our defenses over the last 20-some years had been turnover differential. So you love to see it. I mean, I go back to that Brazil play where you got the interception, Xavier McKinney, and all 3 things working. So you have a great pass rush. You have great coverage by the linebacker. Quarterback thinks the guy's open because there's a linebacker on him. No, psych, I've got a center fielder named Xavier McKinney who's going to pick this ball off. And just that kind of play, what's cool is, in the past, I feel like even last year, we got interceptions off of flukes, which, you're going to get some interceptions.
Those are
going to
happen,
right? Quarterback makes a mistake, whatever. But
or it bounces off a wide receiver's hands or whatever.
Yeah, somebody tips it, whatever. But the fact that we're generating interceptions by the play of our defense, very, very exciting for the Green Bay Packers.
I love it. And here's the thing. So I know some fans, and there's been a pretty kind of steady drumbeat for these 2 games, are disappointed in the lack of a pass rush, right? The idea that there haven't been a ton of sacks. Now, obviously, a lot's been talked about as far as the rush lane integrity and keeping these mobile quarterbacks in the pocket. And I know Will Levis is not that, right? This quarterback they're about to face, the next couple quarterbacks they're about to face, they're not guys that you are worried about as far as taking off, using their legs to kill you. Now, that said, I think the pass rush is incoming, and that doesn't mean that it hasn't been effective yet. I think there's 2 kind of differences here. Like with the pass rush, you mentioned it. The first interception of the season.
Pass rush to get a sack versus a pass rush to get an interception. Yep.
Sacks will come, but the affecting of the quarterback is the important part. And that's what they have done that. And that has caused some of these interceptions. Not every one of them, but that has caused some of these interceptions. I want to affect the quarterback. So when you talk about is the pass rush incoming, I think, but it still I suspect is going to be still pretty similar to what we've seen these first 2 weeks, because look no further than the New York Giants game last year. Remember how we talked about it before the game? You were all excited because I said, oh, they're going to eat. The Giants have given up all these sacks, and we're going to probably get a bunch of sacks in this game.
We got no
and I've
sacks.
already seen that kind of narrative forming around this Tennessee game. It's like we got 0 sacks in that Giants game. And part of that was because the ends, most notably Rashawn Gary, kept rushing past the quarterback. Like, tried to get up and cut the edge, but then would basically just fly around that edge and then leave a wide open lane for the quarterback to step through. And Tommy DeVito did that several times that night. Well, I think under Hafley and this defensive staff, those rules have changed. We're not asking you to just fly up the field and get around and fly past the court. We want to be disciplined in our rush. And I do think, yes, you're going to see Rashawn, Preston, etc. They'll probably beat these guys 1 or 2 more times than we've seen these last couple of weeks, because the Packers, they're pretty damn talented, and the offensive line and basically the protection in Tennessee has been atrocious. They've allowed more pressure than any team in the league this year through 2 games.
Nice.
So I do think there will be opportunities, right? But I still think they're going to have a disciplined approach. And I think Rashawn, Preston, LVN, those opportunities will come. Sacks come in bunches. They keep affecting the quarterback, good things are going to happen. That's all I care about.
Well,
I really don't care if they
thing.
get sacks.
Here's the thing. Last year, we made Tommy DeVito look like the second coming of Jesus of the NFL.
Mm-hmm.
We made who else?
Correct.
What other shitty-ass quarterbacks? There were 2 other shitty quarterbacks we made look good.
The Bryce Young, who literally just got benched in Carolina after 2 games.
The next week he got
has
benched.
Literally been terrible in pretty much every single game he's played in the NFL, except for the week he faced the Green Bay Packers last year.
So that said, if we can come in and beat a shitty-ass team with a shitty-ass quarterback, we can get this Joe Barry curse off of our backs, and I'm excited.
That's what I'm talking about. That's what I'm talking about. Let's do it. One thing that's going to be fascinating, I think, to watch over the course of the next kind of month or so is how the Packers handle the inside linebacker position, job, what have you. Because they kind of have a Quay Walker conundrum. That's what I call it. Because I've seen a lot of the, cut-ups online, people putting out on Twitter about where Quay has come up short. And he has. I'm not trying to be a Quay Walker apologist. But I will say, I spent the entire kind of offseason leading up to the start of the offseason program thinking, oh, yeah, they're obviously going to move Quay to the weak side in this 4-3 defense. And they're obviously not going to ask him to be a Mike. Well, they're asking him to be a Mike. And I understand, because of all the guys that they've assembled to play inside in this defense, they don't have a real Mike. Mm-hmm. They just don't. And they're not going to ask Isaiah McDuffie to do it. You're not going to ask Wilson to do it. You're certainly not going to ask Edrin Cooper to do it after missing the entirety of the summer. Plus, he's more undersized than Quay is. But they just don't have a Mike. So Quay is being asked to do a lot of the things you would traditionally ask a bigger, stronger guy to do, being able to shed blocks, especially these big guards and centers getting up on him in the second level. And look, again, I don't want to make excuses for the guy, but Brian, he addressed the safety room. The safety room's exponentially better than it's been in 10 years probably, right? Well, you can't fix everything in one offseason. I think he understands, he being Brian, they got to address inside linebacker at some point. But in the moment with what they have, Quay is probably your best bet along the inside. And are there going to be plays where he is basically, beaten up, bullied, what have you, by some of these bigger, more athletic offensive linemen? Yeah, no doubt. Are there going to be plays where maybe he has a misread or is overthinking things? Yeah, we've seen that already through 2 weeks. But I also think he's still an athlete. He's still got promise. He's still got potential. I hope they find a way to get him more kind of thinking less and just balling out more, because I do think he has something to offer. All players have value. But right now, it's a patchwork inside job, and they're kind of mixing and matching. That's why you see things like Wilson getting, 8 snaps in the game, which he made the most of those. But, for as long as this is the group, Quay is probably your Mike, and I don't think you should expect much more out of it. That's just
I also
where I'm living.
think it's crazy to think with a new defensive coordinator, you have not seen the Green Bay Packers defense that we're going to end up with. There's just no way around it, right?
That's the other part. We
are in a transition year on defense, for better or for worse.
Yes.
We're moving into a different. I know everybody wants to say it's the same thing. It's not. It's not the fucking same thing
at all.
It's different.
No.
We have a different defense. We have a different defensive coordinator. And honestly, hey, if this is growing pains, I'm down. I'm here for it.
Exactly.
I'm here for it.
Giving up 10
for these
points
growing
is growing pains. Sign me up. Sign me up. I mean, okay, let's take a look at this Packers-Titans game, our quick preview, if you will. The Packers lead the league in takeaways. The Titans lead the league in giveaways. That sounds like a good thing to me, Corey Behnke. I'm kind of excited. I'm not gonna lie. I'm
excited. It's just historically we do terrible against bad teams. That's the only thing that's out there. That's the only Debbie Downer thing I'm going to throw out there.
Playing down to the competition? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah,
playing down to our competition.
Just historically, and when I mean historically, the last couple 2-3 years, it's what we do.
2-3
so we're good
years.
at it.
Well, you talk about historically. The Packers have never won in Nashville. True story. Never once. We've beaten the Oilers back down there in Houston. Never won in Nashville. And I was there the last time they were there in 2016, and it was ugly. It's something that, you remember that scene in Back to the Future where I don't know if he's the principal, but he says, no McFly has ever amounted to anything in the history of Hill Valley. And Marty says, yeah, well, history is going to change. That's what happens on Sunday, Corey. History is going to change. Packers are going to win
for it.
In Nashville. Speaking of winning, the winning team between these two franchises has scored at least 40 points in 3 of the last 4 matchups. Whoo! They've been putting up some points. Putting up some points in this showdown. So hopefully the Packers put up a 40-burger down in Nashville on Sunday. If you guys want
306 rushing yards, that's what I want.
There you
300.
go. Yeah,
the
run all over these
is,
cats. Let's go.
I think the record's 366, so I want 367. Let's go.
If you guys want more breakdown, preview, what have you, of this Packers-Titans matchup, make sure you subscribe and become a diehard member of the Cheesehead TV Nation newsletter. Next one goes out tomorrow morning. Andy Herman and I doing a preview of each and every game throughout the year for our diehard members on the Cheesehead TV Nation newsletter. Man, this thing just continues to grow, Corey. I mean, the numbers, they're going up and up. I'm impressed. You said newsletter this offseason. I was like, newsletter? What are you talking about? But, man, people are liking it. So hop on board, people.
Yeah, I think we heard one of our Patreons actually watched a cocktail video we did 2 years ago because of the newsletter. So there you go. Newsletter aggregating content every day. Finding a home for the content of Cheesehead TV.
We're just trying to resurface some things, the hard work you put in. I'm just trying to make sure people see it.
The regurgitation of our content. Yes.
Hey, is an old-fashioned a timeless thing or no? It is.
Yeah.
So
no. I'm
always
down.
relevant.
I'm not hating. I know my voice, my tone just sounds like I'm hating. So sorry, had to change the tone.
It's all good. All right, let's get to it.
This week in the Packer blogosphere.
That's right. It's This Week in the Packer blogosphere, the return of that venerable series. I don't know if you're familiar with John Boy Media, Corey, this gentleman here in New York who has become very well known for his breakdowns of fights in baseball games. He's very, very well known in the baseball sphere, but he's also become somewhat well known for breaking down vomiting in professional sports, which we saw. Josh Myers, the Packers center, vomit all over the ball twice, or actually only once did he vomit on the ball. The initial time he didn't. But John Boy does an amazing job each and every time. I highly recommend anyone who finds this interesting or fun or whatever, check out his work. The link for this full breakdown is in the description of this video. But here's just a little sampling of how he breaks this down. Let's roll it.
Myers, the center, walks back, sees the guys. He's like, my bad, guys. I think I got it all out, but dude, can we stop running the ball so damn much? I'm tired. It won't happen again. 3rd and 10. Here we go. So, oh boy, it's happening again. Pukes all over the ball. Now this is a pass play. Now he does his job well enough, I guess. Still running downfield. The QB, he gets the ball and he's like, oh my goodness, what is that? I gotta dry my hand. That's gross. And can't really even dry it. So he's like, let's just run this ball. He's got some guys open downfield. Everyone was a little confused why he didn't throw it. He's just going to run with it. His coach asked him after the fact. He's like, well, there was puke all over the ball, and my hand it was kind of gross. But he's still holding the ball and pounding it there. Come on, bro. Gives it to the ref. Gross.
Just love it. I just love it. Like I said, make sure you check out the full breakdown. It's great. His breakdown of fights at baseball games, absolutely outstanding content. Shout out Josh Myers, by the way, puking and just keeps on going. That's hardcore right there. You love to see it.
It really is.
Now, one other thing I did want to bring up here in the blogosphere segment is, Corey, I don't know if you noticed, because I know you're not perpetually online like a lot of people, such as myself, but this afternoon, the news, quote unquote, that Jordan Love was back at practice was, okay, and I'm going to put this in air quotes, broken by the Gannett folks. My old boss, Zizzo, out there putting out a tweet to an article where Jordan Love is back at practice, and here's all these other breakdowns of who's there and who's inside and all this stuff. But so I'm scrolling Twitter, and I'm like, oh, so Jordan's back at practice. Let me see what Rob's got or Wes has got or anybody else on the beat, Schneidman. And it's absolutely nothing. And I'm like, well, that's weird. What's going on here? Did they get an exclusive? Were they the only ones at practice? No. Everyone else tweeted about it several, I want to say half an hour later. So it's pretty clear that Gannett jumped the gun here. And Gannett, I'm here to tell you, don't do that, man. Everyone on the beat is trying to do the right job, the right thing, doing their job. And you throw out a half hour before everybody else?
So Gannett, was on
Wood.
embargo? I don't understand. Is it on embargo?
I know, but that's my point. I think the assumption, and my assumption is that the agreement is you don't tweet about practice or put out information about practice until practice is over. But they had it up while practice was still going on.
Interesting.
Until everybody else caught up a half hour later. Gannett trying to jump the gun, trying to make themselves the breaking of news source or whatever. Man, y'all got the same information everybody else does. Everyone else just followed the agreements that are in place. Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's probably I haven't spoken to anybody on either side about this. I know Ryan Wood, who's a friend. I know he's the one at practice, so I got to assume, because he didn't tweet about it until everyone else did. So I got to think he probably sent something in, to the paper saying oh, this is what's happening. And then they just ran with it. I'm like, yo, that ain't right. That's right.
That's so much inside baseball. I don't care.
I know, but it's the blogosphere, Corey. It's the blogosphere. But that's my point. Your big breaking news was relevant for a half hour until everybody else had it.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous. It's absolutely ridiculous.
I don't understand.
Here's something you do care about. Braylon Allen, former Badger, which you don't care about, but Braylon Allen now with the Jets scored a touchdown on Sunday. And he became the second player ever born, I love this, who had been on the planet 20 years and 239 days when he scored his first NFL touchdown. You know who else did that, Corey?
Yeah, Arnie Herbert. You know how we know this? We got to give a shout out.
Herbert.
Got to give a shout out, and I hate giving a shout out to this podcast. I love this podcast, but especially one of the people on this podcast. Yeah, Big Cat. They had it on PFT, and Big Cat had it on there on Pardon My Take. They only have about 12 more researchers than we do, but the fact that they were talking about a Green Bay Packer like Arnie Herbert, and they had all these photos, I was just like, ugh. But you know what? I reveled in the fact that the Bears are just as bad as they were last year. And so I was just like, you know what? Let them have their Arnie Herber moment. It's okay. It'll be okay. Let them have Arnie Herber and Caleb Williams, and we're good.
We're fine. We're all good.
You know,
right.
You're a Bears fan when you wish you had Malik Willis as your quarterback.
It's probably true. It's probably fair. Although, wasn't Taylor Lewan on Barstool when he was like, "Oh, Malik Willis doesn't know ball," and
but that was on a
win.
different show. That wasn't on
right.
Pardon My
But
Take.
he was on
that
Barstool.
was on like
right. No,
it was on Yak or something else. Yeah. Well, we totally hosed that guy. He's like, "Oh yeah." But I mean, the thing about Barstool is it's so big. You can throw a rock at somebody and they probably said something stupid. So, it's unlike, this show, you have to find me to find somebody to say something stupid. There are literally like so many bros that say stupid shit on Barstool. So,
no, that's true.
Hard.
No, that's true. Let's take a look at what people are saying on the old chat there, Corey. What's going on there on YouTube?
All right. Joe Mailman, Jacobs, Kraft, and 5 O-line on the injury report, a result of running the ball 53 times?
I mean, Matt essentially kind of admitted that in his press conference today. Like, yeah, it took its toll. No doubt about it. A lot of people nursing stuff. I'm not too concerned. We saw it last week. We had like 5 or 6, 7 guys who were all listed on their injury report. You got to Friday and they weren't given a designation, right? I would pay closer attention to the people who don't practice. Those are the ones you want to look at and track their progress through the week. But as far as everyone else, yeah, I think there's some wear and tear there, no doubt.
The Hungarian, a year ago, I asked you both your thoughts on the weakest, strongest position group on that team. Thoughts, same question on this current team.
Ooh. Man.
I mean, I
weakest,
think the weakest,
strongest, is that the question?
I think our weakest right now is, whether it's Mike linebacker or it's linebacker for sure. You would have said secondary. But strongest.
Inside backer, yeah.
Strongest has got to be wide receiver. I mean, we just picked up a guy, but strongest has got to be wide receiver.
Yeah, it's hard. It's funny, too, because, like, you look at safety and all of a sudden that becomes, like, a really promising position. I don't know. It's hard to say it's the strongest, though, because you've got guys who've only played 2 NFL games, right? I would probably go with wide receiver, actually. I think offensive line is coming up, but I think,
I was going to say offensive line, but
receiver.
It's like the problem with offensive line is like we have 4 wide receivers that are, we don't have a number 1, and we have 4 guys that are playing at a very high level.
4 guys who could be a number 1.
Guys coming up on that. So,
hey, congratulations to the Brewers on winning the division. I know you're very happy about that, Corey.
Oh, are they gonna now go into a room and do champagne and do all this stuff because they did something that they should fucking do all the time?
No, they got.
Is that what they're gonna do next?
So probably not. They got a game tonight, so probably.
But then are they gonna like get a bunch of champagne and act like they won the Super Bowl? Because that's what they do in baseball. They are pretenders in baseball. Bunch of fucking goddamn pretenders. Baseball is the most pretender sport in the fucking universe. It is so pretender. Oh, I won the division. I need to spray champagne everywhere because I haven't done that in 50 years, even though I should do it all the time. Eric Wooden, thanks to Super Chat. If Jordan is good to go, maybe we use Malik like Taysom Hill. Ooh,
no,
I like it.
That ain't gonna happen.
I like it.
No.
I like it.
You're not taking the ball out of Jordan Love's
hands.
Actually,
the other thing I was thinking about is what if we play this like preseason and we like play Jordan for like we'll bring him in on 3rd down. I think that would be fun.
No. If they play Jordan for the first half, the Packers get up like 35-3, and then play Malik in the second half.
Bye.
I'm down with this plan. I'm all in.
Ed. Thanks, Super Chat. If LaFleur has another win on Sunday, it will be because it was the Titans or because he has Malik Willis, etc. I think he's trying to say LaFleur is not going to get his due because he's
not going to get his flowers. I don't know, man. LaFleur getting his flowers now. I mean, there's already people talking about, like, he's set up for Coach of the Year. Like, okay, relax. Nobody has been more of an ardent supporter of Matt LaFleur's credentials for Coach of the Year than us at Cheesehead TV. We have been on this bandwagon. I mean, we've been driving this bandwagon for a number of years. That said, it's week 2. Let's slow down.
Also, hi, Kyle Cousineau. Uncultured Barbarian.
What's up, Mayor?
Still remember when on the radio call, Max called the Oilers the Rockets and Astros during the broadcast on a night game. At the end, he said it was time for a beer. Me and my buds figured he'd had a few. Loved Max a lot. Thanks for the super chat, Uncultured. Appreciate it.
Max is a hero. Max is an absolute hero. Meeting him was like one of the best moments of my life. Listening to him at every Packers game, that was bliss. Max, absolute legend. No doubt.
Who's better, Max or the Brewers guy, Euchre?
Ooh, I got to go with Euchre. I love Max, as I just said, but
that. I knew
Euchre is untouchable. Euchre's untouchable. Now
he kind of is.
Now wait.
Kind of is.
Jim and Max together? That's the gold standard. Like Euchre is here at like 1A, but one is Jim and Max.
When we won the Super Bowl and Max and Jim were just kind of like in their bag, and they were just like loving life. That was you hear that all the time. Like you can hear the joy in their voices.
It's the best.
It's great.
Man. You can't beat it. You can't beat it.
Steve Anthony, where do I get a Carry the G T-shirt like the one I have right on me right now that I love to wear all the time? Nagler's gonna tweet it out. You can get it on our store.
We'll tag it in the video here. I will most certainly tweet it out. But if you go to the Cheesehead TV store, just hit apparel on that second kind of
go
button.
to Cheesehead TV.
You'll see all the T-shirts.
And if you go to cheeseheadtv.com, you'll see the store link, and then you can go from there and then type in Carry the G, and you'll find the T-shirt.
I will most certainly tweet it out.
Steve Bashnitsky, I think I said it right. Headed to Nashville. All you need is Love or Willis revenge game. Let's fucking go. Nice, Steve. Have fun in Nashville. That should be a fun time. Let's go, Nashville's
Steve.
A great town. That's a good American town. I like it. I like it a lot. Uncultured Barbarian. I thought I was the angry uncle. Nope, it's Behnke. It's always Behnke. I mean, it's funny in the Patreon happy hour, everybody tries to bait me, and then nobody. What's funny is I usually get baited because nobody tried and somebody just said something dumb, and then I can't anymore. It's funny. I feel bad though.
I don't know if they always say something dumb. Sometimes they just say stuff you don't agree with. I wouldn't necessarily categorize it as dumb.
Well, things are dumb that I don't agree with. So there you go. Lowell Hungarian, thanks for super chat. For reference to my earlier question, last year you agreed D-line was strongest and tight end was weakest. Cheers, boys. Interesting.
And at the start of the year, it was.
Yeah.
I mean, Tucker Kraft was lost. Musgrave was getting yelled at the sideline. But this is the point, right? What you are early in September is not what you are in December. That's just the NFL.
Uncultured Barbarian, I stopped at Lumberjack Liquors in New Richmond on Saturday. They didn't have Carry the G. They will contact their distributor. Ooh,
that's the way to do it.
We need to follow up on that one. I think.
That is the way to do it, folks.
That's bad
Tell
of them.
people.
So wait, are they going
Tell your local
so they're going to
want Carry the G.
Yeah, definitely. Thanks for doing that, by the way. Let us know when you have it. We'll get it on the locator map. That's all we got.
Let's give a shout out to our Patreon members. Keep talking about the Patreon happy hour. If you want to be part of it, each and every Tuesday, usually during the regular season, become a Cheesehead TV Patreon member. You can support all of our endeavors here at Cheesehead TV. $5 a month is all we ask. It gets you not only access to the happy hour, it gets you a discount at the Cheesehead TV store we were just talking about, some exclusive content. It's a really, really great way to support everything that Cheesehead TV does. If you like what we do, please consider signing up, as well as the Carry the G Club members here on YouTube. You guys make the watch parties come alive. Cannot thank you enough. All of your interaction and engagement here on YouTube is greatly, greatly appreciated. Corey, you got anything else for the fine folks at home before we head out?
Nope. Let's do it.
Let's do it. That'll do it. For this episode of Packer Transplants, we'd like to thank everyone who makes Cheesehead TV part of their daily Packers routine. We are and will always be devoted to Green Bay Packers fans worldwide.
I think it's a fluid situation, and I know you guys love it, especially Nagler. I can see you smirking at me right there. We're going to take it one day at a time, and it's going to be fluid, though. That's all I can tell you.